when I look at the research and data, when they term fatherless or father absence, it just means for them, actually, they're saying like the father's not involved, but it's the exact opposite of your experience. In many occasions, particularly, let's say Black fathers are, so based on research and data, the most involved and engaged, but they're termed fatherless or father absent because they're not in the home. And so it really makes us analyze this conversation around present versus presence. And I'll never forget a story of one of my experiences where I had a group of young men, and one of the young men was a white young man, and all the guys wanted to be in his shoes. He was the only one that came from a privileged background, but he was in the same group with them. The difference was everybody wanted to be him because they seen him come there with a chauffeur, and he's in his limousine, right? So you think he got everything because he has the material things, right? But the one tangible thing that he said when they was kind of pushing him to the side, and he said, well, and this was in gratitude sharing. I wish I was like y'all because your fathers, many of them are involved in your life, and that's who brought you here. I rode with somebody and my father's always working. So you took me immediately back almost 17 years. I could see the pain in his eyes, but I also seen how that whole group received him once he shared that component. And we neglect the presence piece, but that's one of the most powerful things that we can give to anyone, in particular our children. And when I look at you, the serial entrepreneur that I know you to be, as you're navigating in spaces, I've seen your kids right there with you going on a journey that you just shared a minute ago with you. So it's those memories that like are deeply supplanted inside the brain that can be life changing and write a whole different story. So man, I just love that you went there. And as you went there, it automatically made me think of what have been some of the biggest challenges that you face and how did you overcome them
as a father? Gotcha. Biggest challenges, I would say, I'm thinking in two different directions. One of those directions is navigating, again, the partnership with their mom. That is a challenging thing. Again, I mean, I have business partners and I know how challenging that is. And the way I look at it is, it don't get easier the closer you get. It gets more difficult the closer you get to the person. You get what I'm saying? Be it that, I've been married to their mom for, again, going on 15 years. The idea of it becoming easier and simpler, it hasn't been my reality. I'll put it that way. And be it that we're two wholly different people, have our wholly different journeys that have informed who we are today, navigating that difference and working together to collectively guide our children, and what my part is in that has been challenging because, again, my wife has her own perception of what fatherhood looks like, and you know what I mean? And I have my own perception of what fatherhood looks like, what I don't want it to look like, and same for her, what she doesn't want it to look like. And I think a lot of times challenge has been doing our best not to operate out of fear, because both of us haven't had the best experience with our fathers. And a lot of times that can creep into informing out of fear what we do, what we don't do, or what we ignore and kick down the road. You know what I mean? So that's been challenging, and I would say organically, but also went to the how do we overcome it? It's like I think it's an organic nature to it, but also a very intentional nature to not ignoring the pain that informs the fear. So navigating that, whether that's just through conversation, whether that's through independent or collective therapy, has been a part of unraveling what will never fully be unraveled until we die. You know what I mean? To hopefully allow us for me to better serve as a father, her as a mother, et cetera, us collectively as parents. But yeah, again, it very much has to be intentional. Time does not heal all things. So I would say that's definitely one big challenge and something that we're continually growing and learning more about ourselves and how, for myself, how do I father well and not out of fear. But another thing would be now, like I said, having two preteens. It's the rectifying the reality for us currently that my girls were 12 and 11, their full-time job is within context of a school with people I don't know, kids I don't know. And you're talking about just me and my wife's journey. This is a whole lot of people and their own journey, experience, perspective, blah, 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 which are very much influencing the kids that, again, I am tasked as a father with guiding, protecting, et cetera, which, again, it can have its positives. Again, I'm all about exposure and learning and growing from others and their difference. But at the same time, the context of school for us right now has a level of ignorance and just not knowing that is challenging for me and can be difficult because, how would I say, your kids bring home stuff that you don't even know where that came from. You know what I mean? And it's like, how do I even begin to unravel this thing that's been within your context for whoever knows how long within the context of school? So that has been challenging for us. And again, exposing areas where, man, we need to pay a little bit more attention to that. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's been challenging. I guess how am I navigating it or addressing it? Again, I would say day by day, doing our best to be attentive and intentional. It's like these things don't pop up all of a sudden. So the little signs and conversations with our kids is very important to pick up on them and ask questions. Like, what does that mean when you say that? You know what I mean? Because again, what is it? I think somebody used the terminology, that's how drifting happens. It's like, just a little bit, you're just chilling on your boat. And you look up, about 10 minutes, you done drifted all the way down the beach. So again, as someone, a father who very much wants to guide his children in the way that I feel like is best for them, being attentive, and having those conversations with my kids is very important to me. And I believe ultimately something that can create an environment where, I wouldn't say less drifting. I think less drifting can happen when it comes to away from what I believe is good and positive for my kids. So,
peace, blessings, and elevation. We will bring you inspiring stories, expert insight, and practical tools and information to support you. Types in embracing our authentic selves, we can pave the way for a brighter future for ourselves and our children. Empower, heal, and support fathers and men on their journey. I'm your host, Kelly Little, aka The Village King. Welcome to the Father's Haven.